this TV system is something that you would see in an indie game trying to do something different and also cover the fact that they don't have a budget. Whereas right now, this isn't a game that's made by a company who just purchased a nuclear reactor. So the people have spoken. The people want me to focus on Nikkei. Problem with that is that I've been recently playing Zenless Zone Zero, and I just needed to get this off my chest because, so like when this game was announced, I was like, oh, great, another game I gotta play. And then I started hearing people talk about in the closed betas how the game was just not that great. Combat wasn't that good. The content that was there was really boring. And everyone kept saying, the TVs, there's this TV system. And now that the game is out, everybody's still saying the same exact thing. They're saying that the combat is great, but it's not challenging. Or some people say that the combat is boring, and they say that the TVs are still bad. The TVs. And there's one thing that I can't stand about reviewers and people who are supposed to be telling me whether a game is good or not. They never really tell me what it's like to play the game. They'll just say, it's bad, this isn't good, that's not good, or instead of saying that the game is bad, they'll say, well, it looks good, the graphics are good, and graphics do not equate gameplay. That doesn't tell me anything. I assume that most games in 2024 are going to look good, and Zenless Zone Zero does look good, but I need to know what the gameplay is like. So I've played it now, and the easiest way that I can explain the television system is imagine if the entire game was a hacking minigame, basically. So, like, the TV system is basically, like, a hacking minigame that you would do for, like, 30 seconds to unlock a door, except it's the majority of the game. And if that sounds dumb to you, or if that still doesn't answer your question of what the TV system is like, think of the simulated universe in Honkai Star Rail, where you walk up to the paintings, and then the paintings ask you, do you want this outcome or that outcome? And then you answer the question, and then you either fight a boss battle or you get a buff or something. That's basically what the TV system is. It's basically like if they took all of the exploration that you would have been doing in 3D in Honkai Star Rail, and they just made it all 2D. And you go through the TVs in a certain order to complete puzzles and everything, but there's no 3D exploration. The only time that you're in 3D is when you actually find a combat TV, and then you go into it, and then you fight the enemies, and then you go back into the TVs, and then you keep exploring in 2D. I'm kind of torn because the thing is, I like subversive game design. I love Killer 7, and Killer 7 does not play like any other game that you've ever played. So I like when games do things that are different than other games. And the thing is, if this game was just like every other game that came out, you'd be saying this is just like every other game that came out. So I'm kind of torn. Like, I would like more 3D exploration. I would like more open world. But this TV system is something that you would see in an indie game trying to do something different and also cover the fact that they don't have a budget. Whereas right now, this isn't a game that's made by a company who just purchased a nuclear reactor. The Hoyoverse has the money to not have done this, but they chose to do it anyway. So it's because it's a design choice, because it's something that it can be seen as subversive game design, it can be seen as an artistic vision. I'm not really going to, complain about the TV system that much. As long as they add in some actual open world exploration, if they add in some, if they physically cannot put any open world combat and stuff into the game, then that's gonna suck, but whatever. So one thing I want to talk about with the combat, I'm hearing people defend the combat, and by people I mean EO is defending the combat, and I really don't. I think EO is like the king of cope. He keeps saying that there's all this hidden tech and there's all these combos and stuff, but then I'm hearing from everybody else that there's no reason to do any of these combos because the combat is just so brain dead easy. And from what I've played myself, really, I don't take any damage. Even when I get hit, I barely take any damage. I just really hope that the difficulty, if this game does become difficult, it doesn't become just a game where you have to fight a boss for 15 minutes because he has so much health. Because if there is all of these combos and all this hidden tech, and you're using all of those combos and hidden tech, and you can't defeat a boss, in under 5 minutes with all of the... If you're playing this game at the highest level and bosses still take 15 minutes to beat, there's a problem. Kingdom Hearts 2 has this thing where when you juggle enemies, they have like, I think it was called like retaliation, where if you're creaming the boss, if you're beating the ever-living hell out of the boss will teleport away, and the boss will start doing attacks that you have to dodge, and then once you dodge the attacks, you can go back to hitting them. That's to stop the player from cheesing the boss. And I like that. I don't want to get to a point where I'm so good at the game that I can just load in and beat a boss in 3 seconds. There are modes for that. Like, there are times when you want to be able to just show off how strong you are. But it's like New Game Plus in some games. Like, if I can load up New Game Plus and all New Game Plus is just to let me go back and just steamroll everything, I don't really see a point in that. However, if you get New Game Plus and you go back into the beginning of the game and everything scales to your end game level, and now you have to use everything that you had at the end of the game just to survive the new difficulty, then that's good. But when you throw nonsense content at somebody and they just constantly steamroll it, it's just pointless. If I'm juggling a boss and the boss cannot fight back at all, I'm just afraid that bosses in this game and difficulty in this game is going to get to the point where I could be juggling a boss for 10 minutes and he's not even down to half health. That's not what I want in this game. Difficulty should be, I need to dodge attack, dodge attack, dodge attack, go in and attack. That's why Dark Souls is so good, because it rewards patience. Dark Souls games reward you for your patience, and they reward you for never giving up. But if you can juggle the boss, or if you can just cream the boss and you're overwhelming the boss and the boss can't even fight back, and all they do to counteract that is just make the boss take 30 minutes to defeat, I really hope that they don't do that for the future of this game. And EO does this thing, it's so annoying and so condescending. He'll make a video and you're like, oh, okay, what's this guy have to say? You'll click on it and then he goes, none of y'all know how to play the game. You guys don't understand. You guys are playing the game wrong. I'm gonna show you how to play the game right. You're playing the game wrong. But if the game is as easy as everyone is saying that it is, I don't think that everyone else is wrong. I think EO might be wrong, because if everybody is saying that you just button mash and beat the game, that's what people believe. That's what people are seeing. That's what people are witnessing with their own eyes. And then EO is like, look at all these extra things you can do. You can cancel your animation, and you can do this, and you can rotate the analog stick. And if you don't have to do that to actually beat the content, then it doesn't matter. It's like sleeping with a girl, and she can't get pregnant, but you still wear a condom. Do you have to? No. Then why are you doing it? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, if you don't need to do all the hidden tech and all the hidden combos to beat the content, then there's no point to do those combos. You're just making the game harder on yourself for no reason. Because if this game is so catered to fighting game players, and if this game is so about combos, and why isn't this a PvP game? Why is this a PvE gacha game? None of it makes any sense. People did not want this to be Genshin Impact meets Honkai Impact 3rd, but more casual. I just hope that if the game does become more challenging, it doesn't become challenging because the bosses are just bullet sponges, they're just tanky. I really hope that they make it so that you just have to have good knowledge of your characters and you have to know combos and stuff like that, because if EO wants to say that there's all this hidden tech and there's all of this stuff in the game, there better be a reason to use it. There just needs to be a reason to use that stuff, and if there's not, then what are we doing here? So yeah, I don't know if I made a single point, but basically I like ZZZ. I think that the TV system is fine as long as they actually implement some real third-person, 3D exploration. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gay.